यात्री कृपया ध्यान दें।
So, guys who don't know Arnav is an SDE at CureFit और आज हम बात करते हैं अर्नव के बारे में, ठीक है? और जानेंगे कि अर्नव का एक्सपीरियंस क्या है. So, यार Arnav, like first brief intro, like just a quick wrap up of who you are, what you have done. I know because like you have some great achievements, Coach Chef 6-star वगैरह. I saw that on your LinkedIn. So just quick wrap up of what you have done till now.
So guys, I'm a BTech CSE grad from DT 2020 batch and currently working as a software developer at Clockit. Before that, I was working as an intern at DRDO, and that's the Defense Research Organization of India, and also at Visa, Interdeco. Besides that, my profile is fairly famous among people who are well aware of Android development and web development. So on Android, I have close to 1.5 million downloads on iOS and the App Store. And my website, you can check out my website. It's arnavjindal.in. So it's a gamified resume, something offbeat to make you stand out of the crowd, basically. And it has like views from 150 plus countries. So yeah, that's about
What's the website? Arnav Jindal, AARNAV
it.
Jindal.in.
Double
.in.
ARNAC, Jindal.
Let me look at it. Gamified, something like Bruno Simons has, right?
Not sure the guys, but maybe
Uh,
there are
uh,
very few gamified resumes.
okay. It uses arrow keys or screen buttons, on-screen buttons. Okay. Great. That's good. That's good. Okay, I got it. I got it. I have seen a resume like this. I think you have worked with coding blocks as well, right?
Yeah, so I worked there as a TA and then a teacher also. So this is actually inspired by sitting there.
Ha. Got it. I've seen his resume. So thoda I guess it looks a little like that only. What's the tech stack? It uses D3 or something like no, 3JS or something like that, like some gamified.
I mean, very simple. It's just a tool. Phaser. Phaser is a gaming plan, gaming, you can say, what should I say? Basically a package or you can say some frameworks that you can use to make something in Java.
Got it. I did a little bit research about this WebGL and stuff. I think it uses that, right? Great, buddy. So, yeah, first of all, what's this CodeChef thing all about? Like, I have been onto CodeChef platform. I've done a little bit about that, but my audience doesn't know at all. Okay, so they are like really new to all of this thing. So, a little bit like in introduction, and of course, from your point of view, because you are at 6th level, and I have 6 stars, I think. And what are these all stars and all of this thing about?
Okay, so guys, basically CodeChef is a very famous competitive programming platform which was earlier being run by DirectX. Now it's being run by an academy. So it's like a great platform to start competitive programming. You have a great set of people coming in to compete on various competitive programming competitions. And now, why people go to this platform is, I think, very simple. It's a comfortable and easy platform to start competitive programming. So that's my first choice and my first recommendation for anyone who's starting with competitive programming. Now, coming to what is the stars and what all that is about. So, stars basically, guys, whenever you are onto a platform, uh, make things competitive, make things interesting, you always have some sort of a bifurcation between the level of the people who are involved. So the thing is that there is a certain rating that each person gets, which changes with each competition. If you perform well, then the rating goes up. If you're not able to perform that, and based on your rating, there are some classifications. So classifications start from 1 star up to 7 star, and it's after every 200 rating. So that's and
Okay, got it. And you are just 1 star away from what there is. Is there a grandmaster or something like that? Like on Kaggle, there are grandmasters. So is there something like that on CodeChef as well?
Yeah, so I think 6 star is just one level down from 7 star, which is the ultimate rating that you can get. I just reached 6 star. After that, I kind of lost interest and started working in the industry. So yeah, I think 6 star is it. It is.
And what's the app you're talking about that has 1.5 million downloads?
So I have plenty of apps on Google Play Store. So one of them is so actually the thing is there is this product of Google called Google Forms. So apparently for some reason they did not make an Android application for the same. So that's but they left some APIs open online which you can use to. So their idea was you can use these APIs to make your own form or integrate the form in your own application or something like that. But I saw an opportunity there. I thought maybe we can create the entire Android application ourselves. So that's when I started off with the idea, and I created an entire Android application for Google Forms, and it has a lot of users. Obviously, Google Forms is a great product. So a lot of people wanted something on mobile to make it easier to use, to easily navigate through the options. So that's where I filled the gap in the market, and that currently has 600,000 downloads. And I also thought if we have such a great audience, maybe we can do something positive about it. So I was able to integrate some ads, and those ads are actually given to charities. So any money that comes in directly goes to some women education charities in India.
That's great.
And similarly, I have another application on the same format on iOS with the same purpose.
Okay. Okay. So both of them are native codes. Like you have different code bases.
Yeah, I have different code bases.
Okay. That's great, man. That's really nice. You are donating all the revenue to charity. I mean, like, really, man, really commendable job there.
Yeah.
And sorry, I have this kind of cough right now. Sorry for that. So yeah, so one question I have is how did you market this thing? Because like 800,000 downloads or like 1.5 million in total of both of them, you must be doing some sort of marketing. There would be some sort of strategy involved. What's the story under the hood?
Marketing for guys, I think I'm very fortunate. I have a really big company, a really big doing the marketing for me. That's Google. So they're already marketing their platform, and anyone who uses Google Forms just they come to the place where they type Google Forms, my application comes up. So Google is marketing.
Okay, that's great. चल ठीक है. So yeah, Arnav, bro, first tell me a bit about the resources to learn competitive programming. ठीक है? Like what resources did you prefer? ठीक है? Apart from like mix paid courses, free resources as well. और what do you recommend आज की डेट में इतने free resources हैं, इतने paid companies कर रही हैं. तो what do you recommend कि अगर किसी को competitive में deep जाना है, बेसिक्स टू एकदम एडवांस लेवल, हाउ शुड वन बिकम अ 6 स्टार एकदम. ठीक है, प्रैक्टिस एक बहुत मेजर पार्ट है, लेकिन रिसोर्सेज भी रोल प्ले करते हैं. ठीक है, तो व्हाट वुड यू रिकमेंड?
So guys, anyone who is trying to pursue competitive programming, firstly you need to ask yourselves why. A lot of people start competitive programming just because everyone is doing it. It's not important. So this is a disclaimer. It's not important to do competitive programming to get a good placement. It only helps to get a job from maybe Google and Facebook. Otherwise, every company that you want, you can achieve that goal with a simple step on Geeks for Geeks and LeetCode. Having said that, now diving deeper into the question. So if you want to start competitive programming, firstly you need to have a good DSA base. For that, what I personally prefer is courses. Do some basic courses from. We have so many great institutes to choose from. So a few of them being Coding Blocks and Coding Ninjas. I personally prefer Coding Blocks. They have a great platform there. And now that you have the facility to do these courses online, it's even better. I think you can probably learn at your own pace. But my recommendation is always to go for these paid courses because therein you have some people who genuinely care about how the experience for you is as a user. If you go for these free courses, someone has just put up the content just to, I mean, for their particular reasons, but there's no one to guide you there. It's just a free source of information available. It's not obviously as good as some paid resource. So having said that, there is one company which recently did this job for free. They are guiding people as well as providing resources on YouTube. This company is called Pet Coding. So they put out their entire DSA course on YouTube for free, and I think many other courses also. So if you want to do a good free course, you can go to them. Otherwise, you can probably pursue coding blocks, in my opinion. After you're done with that, I think when you do these courses, you have like a good base in DSA as well as you probably have done 300, 400 questions for practice. That's how these courses are generally structured. Now, after these courses, my recommendation is start with CodeChef. In CodeChef, try to hit a 4-star rating and do only long challenges. The reason is very simple because long challenges give you 10 days to solve 7 to 8 questions, wherein you get to solve each question in at least 1 day. Now, if you're starting with competitive programming, it's a great way to start since you have a lot of time, you have a lot of questions to start into competitive programming, and you get a lot of time to go about the internet searching for resources. Let's say you need a particular way of solving a problem, you can go to the internet and solve for a lot of things. So you will come across a lot of resources that you don't need, but you end up learning more. So that's why Code Forces is great. But Code Chef, right? But after you hit a 4-star rating, move on to Code Forces. Code Chef is not for you anymore. And on Code Forces, you have Diffy and Diffu contests. Keep doing them. And the most important thing about Code Forces is upsolving. So even for coaches, I'd say upsolving is very important, guys. So for those who don't know what upsolving is, after a contest is over, people generally see their ranks, they're happy about it, and that's about it. They leave the platform. That's the big mistake. Competitive programming is not only about getting a good rank, it's also about improving yourself. Now, for that, what you need to do is go back to the tutorials, see the problems that you could not solve. So then, when you go through one or two problems above your level, after you go through 5 to 6 cycles of the same, then you start to reach that level a little bit because you know about it a little more with each passing competition. And that's the key to competitive programming. It's not some resources, it's not someone guiding you. It's just this grit, determination, and your determination to basically absolve. It's that tension to go up and your personal grit and determination. But
Hmm.
if someone is still looking for resources, I think you can still go to GFG. They have some good beginner resources. And other than that, I personally prefer obviously the tutorials for coach and code courses. But beyond that, Code Forces has great blogs from a lot of good programmers. They have outlined a lot of resources and questions that you can solve to improve yourself in these graphs, and everything. So I personally prefer these resources.
Great, that's a great answer. I mean, like you told basic to advanced, what should be the journey? First, code chef till long challenges, especially, right? And once you are on
Yeah.
the level of 4-star, right? Once you have done like that level, then move to code forces. Great, great. One thing is, Arnav, you have a company named TechJobs.in, right? I think TechJobs, right? That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by name, I think
Yeah.
this.
Tech jobs.
And then what does the company do? It has like it's a job portal, or like give a brief introduction about what's the company about.
So guys, what happened was in my third and fourth year, I did have a good profile even back then. But the issue was that I was not aware of a lot of opportunities that come in or are available to Indian students in especially companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google in foreign lands. I think you can say Germany, London, USA, Canada, everything. There are a lot of opportunities that I missed on because I was not aware. And I thought this is maybe my issue, but turns out a lot of people did not know about these opportunities. And same for SDA positions, not only for interns. So now that I have graduated, I thought maybe this is the time I can help people out. If so, that's how I think any product works. If you see a gap in the market, you go in and fill it. So that's what I did, and I have some great associates working with me. So we try to source data from a lot of different websites, a lot of different companies, and we try to post. Although we post Indian jobs as well, our main focus is to post our positions available abroad, so that you never miss out on those opportunities. And one reason that we particularly emphasize on these international opportunities is that you need to understand how the dynamics are in a job market abroad. So when you're competing for any position in Europe or America, firstly, in India, for one position, there are 10,000 people applying. That's the situation in the country. But in US or Europe, you have only 100 people applying for the same position. Given that
Okay.
the Indian population is not aware about it, otherwise they would also jump in. But it's generally 100 people applying for the same position. Even in those 100 people, you would find that any Indian candidate, even from a tier 3 college, has more knowledge or more understanding of concepts than the indigenous population of the country who is applying. So you are at a twofold advantage. You automatically reduce the population with whom you are competing with from 10,000 to 10. That is a drastic increase in your chances of getting selected. So that was the idea behind this portal. There is no sign-ups, there are no hidden costs or anything. We just post of opportunities. And if you're trying to find good opportunities for yourself abroad, trying to make a good living out of your career, then I think you should definitely check out the website.
Okay. One issue I think with this is that, don't you think? See, I'm from a freelance market, right? And whenever I apply for international projects, what happens is, let's say Simon is the guy who has put the project out, so he won't take Jasneet, he would take George. You understand that? I'm talking about a little bit about racism and stuff like that. So, how do you think developers can beat that thing? Because that's a little uh, that's a hurdle. That's a hurdle.
So, although I do agree with what you're saying, there are some hurdles. I won't go deep into that. There are obviously some biases in every position that you're applying to. But even in that case, think about it. If in India you are applying for a position, this is actual metric. This is actual metric that I have from companies like Google. You probably are competing with 10,000 people for one position. Even in that, there are plenty of people who get in with the referrals. And even in referrals, there are people from IITs, NITs, and all these top brands. So you automatically get filtered out in the very first step. You don't even get to interview. But when you're applying abroad to these companies, the bias might kick in when you are sitting for an interview. But even then, let's say even if you account for bias, there are some chances that you can get randomly tossed out. But in my opinion, it is still 100 times better. Your chances still are 100 times better compared to any company in India.
Got it. So so the statistics you are telling is that the supply side is very less if we talk about the jobs available abroad, right?
Yeah, the competition is very less for the same position and for a better pay also.
And what do you think about, like, see, as you are very closely related with the job market right now, and you might be having statistics, who all are applying and what amount of jobs there are in the market, and during this time of pandemic, what do you think is the job market right now? Because on my Instagram, I get a tons and tons of messages from students who are really struggling with the jobs right now. Some of my students who have, like, who are applying from 1 and 2 months, they are getting rejection from all over the place. What do you say about the job market right now? And even on Twitter, I get tagged every other day, related to this issue. What would you say?
So guys, as Steve said, I've kind of been closely integrated with the job market, jobs and market right now. And I understand the peculiarities of the current situation that's going on. You have probably fewer positions that you can apply to, and there are more people competing for it because of the situation that we are in. Having said that, if you have the skill, so in my opinion, there is never a shortage of jobs for those who are skilled. If you are skilled enough, you will get the job. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where from, but you will get the jobs. So rather than wasting the time applying to 100 companies right now, my recommendation would be this is the best time you can sit at home. You don't have your college assignments or your college authorities like after your life to give some assignments or do some papers or everything. You can put in a lot of effort and improve your skills, hone your skills, improve whatever focus or discipline you're interested in, and use this time judiciously because once this pandemic gets over, which is probably 3 to 4 months from now, we have vaccines coming, but after that is over, the job industry will flourish again. The way these things work is like very finicky. Once Corona sets in, jobs go down very drastically. Once the cure comes in, they will jump back very quickly as well. So wait for that period. Till then, improve your skills, hone your skills, do competitive programming, do interview programming, and I can assure you, 3 to 4 months down the line, you'll have plenty of jobs to apply to. So never a dearth of jobs for skilled people.
Got it. And coming back to the competitive programming thing, I in the morning I got a question from a guy. Ishan is his name. He says, "Sir, I want to ask you one thing. That is competitive programming overhyped? or is it just me who feels so? Because like everyone in my college and in my peer group is like, we need to be, good at competitive programming, but what about things that really matter? Like no one gives much a shit about web development or Android development or any other skill like that, but everyone is very much voted towards competitive programming. So is it really important, or another overhyped thing, or a kind of gateway from where we can venture into the above mentioned skills? Is it just herd moving in the direction of competitive programs? So I am yet to make a video on this one, but I would really like to have your opinion on this thing, because you are very much associated with all of these competitive programming related things. So what do you say? But I think the third one is the option. Like, is it's a gateway to enter into, because see, doing web development in a tier three company, or like let's say a service based company, and doing web development in a company like Microsoft, or a FAANG company, that's a better option. But you have to pass the competitive programming thing as well. What do you say about this?
So guys, all of these are buzzwords. Not only Android, ML, web, even competitive programming is a buzzword. Whenever I talk to someone and they say, "Bhaiya, we need to do competitive programming," I ask why. Many people fail there because it's just a buzzword that everyone is following in a sheep mentality, in a herd mentality, and nobody knows why they are doing it. So that's the first red flag that you know that you're getting. Even when you go to Android and web, so this is where I'll differ from the person who asked the question. Even for those skills, you go to them, you think that they will help you out later in the market. That's not at all the case. They are also buzzwords only. The reason for all this is very simple, that whenever you enter a job industry, the company is probably working on a tech stack that is very different from yours, that is maybe more advanced, or maybe a lot more hutcake, if that's the
Hmm.
best way to apply this situation, than the thing you are aware of. You will learn everything from scratch in a company. That's what an internship is for. And that's what your first few months, which is 1 or 2 months, whenever you join the company, there is a training period. That is when they will teach you everything, be it your Android, web, their tech stack, and even Git. So they will teach you everything from scratch. So, in my opinion, never waste time on these things. Even Android, web dev, ML, IoT, competitive programming. Competitive programming, so you should not pursue it without a reason. So, having said all this, all these are buzzwords. I will say strictly don't get into Android, WebB, etc. But coming to competitive programming, see guys, programming in general and interview programming will help you with companies, a lot of companies. Competitive programming will help you with selective companies. When it comes to companies like Google, Facebook, they do care about your competitive programming ranks. It helps a lot. Even if you go to their platforms like these Facebook hackers up their competitions, or Google Kickstart and everything, they do hire from these competitions. So that's where you get an advantage. The final thing that I'd like to say about competitive programming is that why people do it is some people from tier three colleges, they don't have a lot to put on their resume, and they probably get filtered out because of this. But when you do competitive programming, you can show that besides your college, that was a one-time thing. Right now, you have a great skill in programming. You have great rating on code courses, coaches, and that is what you are going to give to them when you join the company. So that's where competitive programming might help. But other than that, your only basics are required. Everything is a buzzword.
And you have already answered my last question. I was just to ask that what would you suggest for off-campus placements for people, for the colleges, like where these companies do not come? Because see, I know DTU companies do come there. A lot of good companies come over there. But let's say a college like mine, NIC, no company comes over there, right? So yeah. So anything extra you want to add for this part?
So, guys, one thing that a lot of people fail to do is they fail to recognize the power of professional platforms like LinkedIn. So one thing is that you hone your skills, you improve your hold over your basic DSA. But that is only the hard work that you're putting on your end. Let's say you have a product, you need a buyer for it as well. Where is that buyer? That buyer is on LinkedIn. So you need to go out to LinkedIn, post your profile there, add all your information, add all your achievements, keep on updating it. And one thing that I recommend is start blindly sending connection requests to people from bank companies, gaffer companies. Because what happens is if you start out right in your first or second year, by the time you're in your third year, you will have a connection base as strong as 5,000 or 6,000. And your connection is full of people who are working in these companies. And whenever new hires come in, they are usually first given out on LinkedIn. Any other platform, you will have to go to the platform to see that opening. But people from these companies generally are available on these platforms. They are putting out the information first. They're even putting out information about jobs that are not publicly listed. Also, they also gave out information as to how you can contact them and get a referral from them. So it's a really great platform to, you can overcome your deficiency. I won't say it's a deficiency, but you can overcome the
Hmm.
problems that you have due to being in a tier three college.
Got
And
it.
the other thing being, if you have so many people, you can obviously ask for a reference. So that's okay.
And how was your CureFit experience like? Like, did the company come to the college, or you applied from CodeChef, or what was it like?
So I was fortunate enough that it came to my campus, and that's where I got the job.
Okay. And what was the interview process like?
The interview process for CloseFit is, I think, very selective and should be an industry standard, I believe. They started off with your very basic coding competition on HackerRank. That was just to filter out the top ones. And after that, there were 30 people who were selected from probably a crowd of 500. But after that, CureFit has a very great process. They had three interview rounds wherein they asked questions that didn't only judge your basic DSA, they judged your logical abilities to solve the question. It's only a writing solution. It was also about speed. The questions were framed in such a way that you will be forced to use your basic DSA, but the concepts that you apply, you will have to come up with them by merging a lot of different algorithms and a lot of different concepts that you are aware of. And that's how they test your ability to think on the spot and to apply what you know properly. Their hiring is probably more selective than Google. So
Okay.
I think if you make it to CureFit, a lot of people do from Google. I think they do come into CureFit. Many people from Google and the other very famous company. I'm
Hmm.
forgetting its name. Coordination. Many people from there have come
Coordination.
into CureFit because the crowd is more selective and the work is better. So if you make it to CureFit, I think you can make it anywhere.
Great. That's great. So yeah, these are the normal questions I wanted to talk to you about. And here we come to the end, right? So you have any questions to ask? You can feel free.
Um, I think I just have some advice to dish out to people who are viewing this channel. So, guys, this Meet is doing a really great work connecting with all of you and helping you out solving your queries. He has a lot of great tutorials on things like Docker and everything else. I went through his tutorials; they were really, really cool. They're not just for college peeps, but I think also for some graduates who can learn a lot from his platform. And don't worry about college. I think enjoy it. It's a great time. And a lot of people struggle with jobs. I think that's one of the main issues. But you need to realize all this racket, all this fuss is just in your graduation position when you're graduating and you need a job. 1 to 2 years down the line, people from tier three colleges and any other company also, it doesn't matter. After that, opportunities in Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft open up for every single person. Doesn't matter where you're from, it just matters what your skills are. So 1 to 2 years down the line, you can make it anywhere. So don't worry about the first right now. Just give it your all and try to better yourself. That's what the industry is.
Great. That's a really great advice.